As someone who runs an info business, and I say this with no exaggeration whatsoever, your funnel is one of the biggest levers that you need to focus on if you want to run profitable paid ads for your business. But maybe you're sitting there, you don't really know where to start, you don't really know what to do to actually go build a funnel that converts to paid traffic, or you've just seen so much information about what you need to do to build a funnel, but you're just like confused, like you're not sure where to start, how to put all of this information together to actually build a funnel. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down and showing you my process for how we're building paid ads funnels for info businesses that we're helping scale in 2026. And trust me, I'm not holding anything back. I'm just gonna spread it all out for you. Pause. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Brilliance. I run Linear Web, and we actively work with some of the biggest names in the online education space, the coaching space, info space, like Jordan Welch, Jesse Rogers, New Knowledge, Simone Bees, Ramin Popo. I could go on and on. So without further ado, let me show you the new way to build high-ticket funnels for paid ads. So the first thing you want to do is write to one specific avatar. You want to focus on the ICP that has the highest probability of becoming a client and actually getting results in your program, right? It can be appealing to try to write to, different types of customers. You're trying to squeeze revenue from every angle of the market. But what that really does is just dilute your messaging. We want to focus on this avatar. We want to dial in on them. Let's say, for example, with a trading offer, you could target beginners, you could target people who are already trading. In our case, like what we usually do with our funnels is we go with the people who are already in market for a solution, which means right now they're looking for a solution right now. And if they see a solution, they're probably booking a call or they're joining a webinar. These people have the highest probability of taking action with whatever product or service you're selling. And again, you could go upper into the market and go to the people who need to be a bit more convinced before they can actually move forward with you. But you need to start from the people who are in the in-market demographic and just write to that specific avatar, because it's way cheaper to reach those people. It's also like way easier to get them to convert as well. So make sure you're writing to one person. You're not trying to splice your messaging across multiple different avatars. It's just going to muddy up your messaging and make it confusing for your prospects to understand when they actually come in your funnel. Now, number two is going to be your funnel structure. Now, your funnel structure is really one of the huge levers that you need to pay attention to when it comes to running profitable paid ads, because you need to think from the lens of a customer. What do they want to see when they land on your funnel? If we're running traffic to an organic funnel, for example, we could use, the fact that you watching this right now, you probably have a personal brand and you could leverage some of that. But when you run into cold traffic, people who have no idea what you do or who you are, you want to think about it differently, because these people literally have no idea. So they want to see things that are actually going to make sense in the sense of, what the offer is, like how long it takes to get results, what is your mechanism. So when you're thinking about the funnel structure, really what you're trying to think about is what is the customer going through, like what is the journey that they want to go through, what is actually going to get them to convert. And that's how you lay out the structure. And usually what we see is that, if you have an offer that requires some sort of education, then you break down the mechanism so that people understand how you actually get results. And again, without sounding too complex, a mechanism is simply how you get results. It's how you get the outcome that these people are looking for. So you break that down for them, right? And if you just so happen to run an offer where the inherent value is there, people understand the outcome without needing to think about it. For example, something like trading, people know, okay, if I trade, I'm going to make money. Then those types of funnels like Proof works really well. But if you still have like a unique name for how you achieve results, then you want to break that down for your clients or your potential prospects, as we would call them. And that's how you really want to think about your funnel structure. Is there's no one size fits all that I can sit down here and tell you, okay, just go use this funnel structure and it's going to crush. But really, it's like, so if you have a way of doing things that is different from how the market does things, you just want to break that down for your prospects so they understand how you get results. It's not like, I'll give you an example. So for one of our clients, he runs a trading offer and it's called the Smart Trading Blueprint. So what we had to do was simply break down, so what is the Smart Trading Blueprint and what actually makes it smart, right? So always pay attention to your funnel structure. It's such a huge lever that I see a lot of people ignore. The next is going to be your funnel design. Now, a lot of businesses, even the ones with huge personal brands, I've seen a lot of them, they have shitty funnels. And this is not to say that, your design is going to double your revenue or triple your revenue. No, but the better your branding is, the more your prospects trust, right? Because this way, when they land on your funnel, it doesn't feel off. Like it actually feels like the next logical step that they need to take. But if your funnel looks like it's rushed, if it looks like, it's a template, we actually had a client who had this problem. He wasn't converting. He was barely converting at 4% and he had like 300,000 and he had about 300K on YouTube, but he wasn't really converting as well as he could due to the funnel design and structure simply not being where it's supposed to be. And once we fixed that, we took him literally from 4% to 10% application rates. And he sells like a really, really high ticket offer as a $50,000 offer. So again, you can see how substantial that is in terms of going from 4% to 10%. So spend a lot of time. I mean, not a lot of time technically. If you're skilled, you can do this in a couple of hours, but really just focus on the design, because with design, what you're communicating with prospects is, should they trust you? Because if you don't put enough thought into your design, then what impression is that going to give them about your product? I'm not saying this is always 100%, 1000% of the time the case, but the thing is that especially when you're starting out with an info offer or you're trying to scale up and you're trying to reach more people with cold traffic, they're not really going to trust you if you have a funnel that just looks like everyone else or it's not well put together. They simply don't trust you because, paid traffic, prospects who are coming from paid traffic are crew. They don't care about you. All they care about is the outcome that they're looking for. So when they come to the funnel and it looks like shit, so what's going to happen? They're simply going to bounce off the funnel, right? So the next is going to be your applications. And this is one that I see a lot of people completely, absolutely butcher, right? I see people have like 10 questions or like 15 questions on the Typeform. I'm like, listen, you could do this in 3 to 5 questions max, right? Just 3 to 5 questions, keep it simple, just use Typeform, don't use any of these other dog shit softwares, just use Typeform and Calendly. That way you can ask your questions, your first question, just use a simple yes or no question and then collect your contact information and then qualify them after that. And then from there, you can send them to booking a call directly through your Calendly that you've embedded in the Typeform. That's what you need to be doing. Do not redirect anyone to an external Calendly page. Do not do that. Do not redirect them to an external booking page. That is a simple way to just increase the amount of drop-offs you have. When you have the Calendly directly integrated into your Typeform, you're actually going to be helping people book calls way more easily and you're going to have a lot more throughput on the back end. Now, the next is going to be your confirmation page, and your confirmation page is really one of the biggest pieces of real estate that exists on your funnel, and I'll tell you why, right? Because I see a lot of people, they have like 30% sure rates or even less a lot of times, and a lot of these things can be fixed by having a really good confirmation page. I'll tell you, prospects love consuming the confirmation pages because they really show transparency and show the prospect that you actually care about things that they care about. You're not just there to say, okay, this is how much the offer costs. Are you ready to invest in the offer? Because at the end of the day, like, it's not about you, it's about the prospect. Can the program help them? Can the product or service help them, right? If it can help them, then you need to give them all of the information that they need to make an informed decision, right? So people do not like jumping the calls to be sold. Therefore, when they book calls, their intent is low. And then it's your sales team's job to go in, increase the intent. And also the confirmation page helps drive up that intent as well, because we're answering specific questions that our prospects usually have. And you as a business owner, you probably know that your customers really ask most of the same questions. So simply what we're doing here is being transparent with them and answering the questions that actually matter to them, right? So what happens if this doesn't work? How long is it going to take before I get results? What are the best case scenarios here? What is also the worst case scenario? How bad can I get fucked, essentially, right? So after your prospects booking a call, just make sure you frame it as a research page, not a confirmation page, not confirm your call. Use this page to do your due diligence and your research on a company. That's what you should be doing. Now, the next step is going to be your pre-call system. You need to text every opt-in within minutes of them booking in the call, right? When you text them, you need to say something very specific, and that's, hey, it's your name. Take this out. Like, when you text them, you just need to send them a simple message like, hey, this is Brilliance. And the reason you do that is with the iPhone, when you text someone that you don't have their contact and they don't have your contact, it's more than likely to go to spam. So you need to text every single opt-in within minutes of them opting in, because the time to lead is also going to determine how many people you get to show up. So you need to be very proactive there. Within 3 to 5 minutes, you're texting these people because that is when their intent is the highest. And after that, they start looking for reasons to not come on the call, essentially, right? So something that we like to do is send a simple text is like, hey, this is Brilliance. And that way, when you call them, it shows up as maybe Brilliance. Especially with iPhones, a lot of people use iPhones. The people you serve most likely use iPhones. So they're more likely to pick up this way because it's coming from, something that they resonate with, which is your name. And then you ask them questions that they care about, like, hey, any burning questions on your mind before we hop on a call tomorrow? Or like, what do we need to add to the deck to be able to make this presentation a lot more useful for you? That way you're getting them involved in the process, right? And people don't want to let down someone else. So when they've given you a response and they're like, hey, this is, what I think, these are some of the questions that I care about, this is some things that I think you should add to the presentation to make it easier for me to make a decision. It makes them a lot more involved, and that makes it easier for them to show up to the call, I'm telling you, right? And then the next is going to be your educational emails. And what really happens is a lot of people try to run ads, but they don't focus on the education part of the funnel. And this is like a huge part, especially when you're running ads at a high volume. Let's say you're spending a couple $1,000s a day. This is where you really start to see the effects of educational emails. At lower ranges, like, it helps, but it doesn't really make much of an impact. A lot of your impact is going to be made through just a dialed in pre-call system. But with the educational emails, really what you want to do here is to educate your prospects before the call. And this is usually anywhere from 9 to 16 emails that are going to be breaking objections, breaking beliefs that they have, educating them and pre-framing them, and also answering any common questions that they have, and also reminds them of why they even booked the call in the first place with some offers, like mindset offers and, sleep offers and things of that nature. You want to remind people why they booked in a call. So again, it is contextual to the offer that you're running, but you absolutely need to have this. You need to have this. This is not something that you can have. This is something that you need to have. You you must have, right? Just make sure that you have some educational emails on the back end just firing off after your prospects booking a call. Now, let's move to the next step, your pixel conditioning. Now, Meta is responsible for step one, which is finding you the right audience bucket. But you, the business owner, you are responsible for step two, which is sending the right type of data back, right? So, and this is a very simple process, right? So just create a confirmation page, duplicate a confirmation page. On one of the confirmation pages, you simply just pixel that, and the other one, you leave it as is. You do not pixel that one, so that when a qualified prospect comes through your Typeform, they're going to the pixel confirmation page, and the unqualified ones are going to the non-pixel confirmation page. That way you keep your data clean, and you're actually telling Meta to bring you more of those qualified people, and you're not muddying up your pixel, and Meta is going after people who are really not financially qualified or even just a good fit for your offering. You're sending the right signals back to Meta. Again, I hope you found this valuable. If this is something that you need help implementing inside of your info business, again, we've worked with some of the biggest info names in the space, and if you need someone to just build out this entire system for you so you can just run ads to it, you don't have to think about all of this stuff, all of this funnel stuff and pixel conditioning and all of this stuff, just click the link in the description, book in a call with me, and I'll see if and how we can help.